Ultimately, the PhD is about finding yourself in the chaos, and you can't find yourself without being a little bit lost first. Hi, welcome to Latino PhD. I am your host, Dr. Adolfo Lara, where I share experiences and realizations to help with your aspirations. And today we're going to dive into the topic of the early days of the PhD journey. So, if you have ever felt like a quote unquote red flag PhD student, then let me tell you that you're not alone. I too have felt that way early in the PhD process. And at that time, I didn't have the courage to share that. I wish I had. And not only that, but I also wish I had someone to talk with and somebody that could help solve that problem. Listening, but also providing me with a reality check and a list of next steps that would have helped me solve that problem. And so I hope that this video is able to do that for you. So let's get started. And so this video is inspired by the r/PhD subreddit, where a user has asked the following question. The title says, I think I am a red flag PhD student and they need advice. Dear all, I'll be short since this is done as part of my procrastination for writing a paper. I just started a PhD and for the past 3 months I feel I was below expectations. During the interview I was told I was brilliant and fast thinking, which I am definitely not, but I prepared very well for the interviews. During the first 3 months, there were 4 occasions that I needed extensions because I did not finish the writing in time. Furthermore, I have been saying a lot of stupid things in front of my supervisors. This mainly due to feeling anxious because they are very good supervisors, probably more than I deserve. On feedback, I received concepts regarding the conceptual incoherence on some of the statements on the paper. I understand there's an imposter syndrome aspect to some extent, but I believe this is combined with lower ability than it is expected of me, especially given my intellectual ability is just average. They talk about their IQ level and being average in their school grades. It's annoying to be average when everyone else around me is so good at what they do. A few weeks ago, I had a mini breakdown in front of them because I have been working nonstop to comply with every tight deadline for a project. How would you proceed? Thank you so much to the user for their courage in sharing that experience and reaching out to the community for ideas and advice. And as a reality check, if nothing is done and things were to continue in the same way, the reality check here is that there are risks of, number one, losing time, and number two, the effect this may have on your mental health. So if we focus on number one, which is losing time, then if you stay in this practice of pushing deadlines back, that's going to have an overall effect down the line. So for example, if your project needs a specific step to be done, step one to be done, in order for step two to start, then the further you push step one, the further time you're going to take and lose to be able to start step two. And not only that, but the time is not necessarily only your time. It's also going to be time of, if the project is collaborative, time of your collaborators and specifically your advisors as well. This practice is going to have an effect on their time too. And number two, it can also have an effect on your mental health. As you stated, there was a case of a mini breakdown, and that may be due to the pressures you are currently feeling. And I have been there myself. And I had a mini breakdown as well because I missed a deadline. And that just started this cycle where I felt bad about missing deadlines and then had a mini breakdown and then felt bad about having the mini breakdown. And it just started this cycle that, just kept going on and on and on. And those are two risks that we do not want to be in. We do not want to have those situations occur. And not only that, but we don't want them to get out of hand. Because if they were to get out of hand and we try to fix them down the line rather than right now. We are going to spend time and energy to try to fix those problems and get out of those practices. And that could be time and energy we spend instead to do the work at hand, which is the work of the PhD. So having said all this, what can we do? Some next steps and potential practical fixes to the issue center around your mentality. So let's take a step back within the PhD process and let's look at number 1, time, number 2, the nature of the PhD itself, and number 3, preparation. Number 1, within the PhD, let's look at the time. The PhD is a long-term time investment. It is a journey and it is not a race. And in looking at your post mentioning the 3 months, and not to minimize them, the 3 months are part of a larger time journey, maybe 4 years, maybe more. And so the 3 months are still within an early stage of the process. And it is not uncommon to feel the pressures of it, maybe even the imposter syndrome, as you mentioned, as that is part of the nature of the PhD. And you're not expected to know everything about the PhD in day 1, because if you already knew everything about the PhD in day 1, then you wouldn't really need to go through the PhD process. So in thinking about the nature of the PhD and the journey you're going to have, you are going to encounter what I will call the learning trifecta, and you may encounter that all at the same time or one after the other. And of course, the PhD can be reduced to more than 3 dimensions, more than 3 things I'm going to talk about, but we'll just focus on this for the sake of the question. So we're going to keep in mind the central theme of learning. And so the learning trifecta, number 1, you're going to learn about the subject you are studying. You're going to learn, depending on your subject, an entirely new language, for example, in biology, or additionally, you're going to learn new analysis methods. You're going to learn new philosophy. You're going to learn this topic so well, and you're going to learn about it so much that you're going to arrive at the frontier of scientific knowledge when it comes to this topic. And not only that, but it is your job to then push the entire scientific community past that frontier and provide new knowledge to the field. Number 2, you will also learn how to learn. So you're going to be able to teach yourself. You're going to be able to take courses that will teach you and have a theme of learning how to learn. And number 3, you're going to learn about yourself. You're going to learn about your personal side, and you're also going to learn about your professional side, specifically thinking about your workflows and your preparation. And that leads us to point number 3, preparation. I would like for you to focus on a segment on your post. You specifically said, and I quote, "I prepared very well for the interviews." So this shows me that you are able to prepare and you're able to see what dedicated preparation with a goal in mind looks like and where that can take you. You had a complete goal in mind to prepare for the interview. So much so that you were told that you are brilliant and fast thinking. And I would like for you to have that same state of mind once again, specifically for the PhD process. So a couple of questions that come up is, what preparation did you go with to feel that confident? And number 2, in thinking about that, how can you take some of those preparation practices to your current PhD work? And that's going to tell you a lot about learning about the subject and learning to learn and learning about yourself. Additionally, some of that preparation in thinking about learning, you may also start thinking about something more practical. So potentially for the interview, you had a method to prepare, and likewise in these early days of your PhD, you have the time to learn about different and diverse learning methods. So taking notes a specific way, recording the lectures and watching them over, or using digital software such as Notion or Obsidian to take notes, or even the time to take a course or read extra books on learning how to learn. And in thinking about the preparation, there's one more thing to keep in mind, and that is communication. In the PhD process, and as you learn about yourself, you're going to learn how to work with others. If there are deadlines, then communication is your best ally here. If you're struggling to meet those deadlines, then let your advisor know as soon as you can. They will appreciate that transparency, and they might be able to help you discuss some of the challenges and work out a plan on how to little by little start avoiding these missed deadlines. So in closing, if you feel like a red flag, then step back and reflect. Look at the big picture. Are you comparing yourself to others? You mentioned the imposter syndrome. And if so, the only person you should be comparing yourself to is yourself from the past. Focus on the growth and not specifically on perfection. The journey of the PhD is about who you were, who you currently are, and who you want to become. And there is no other thing to do but embrace the process. And just as you are resilient to have been accepted into the PhD program, use that same resilience to continue through that journey. Ultimately, the PhD is about finding yourself in the chaos, and you can't find yourself without being a little bit lost first. So as your learning journey continues, check out this video where I highlight a note-taking tip that I wish I had during my PhD days. This technique has made for getting ideas a thing of the past. With that, I want to thank you for your time, and I'll see you on the next one.